All right, greetings everyone and welcome. January the 3rd, 2026. It is 12:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Professor Gertis and I are live. Welcome to you and I'm welcome to your channel. So
it's been an eventful 2026 so far between Russia and Ukraine and then Iran and the protests there and Venezuela just overnight. It's just been a lot. Now, we were planning on talking about all the changes that were happening.
We still can. I have that ready.
So we'll try to do that to the degree that it can be done. So, but yeah, so I'm going to be looking in my thread and seeing what kind of questions we can answer as you are.
Yeah,
but
I'm going to do the same.
If we had nothing else, like if Venezuela wasn't breaking and Iran wasn't breaking, there's a lot to talk about in Ukraine still. Like the changes in Zelensky's cabinet are really important.
We will discuss those. And another one of our main purposes for being here today is yesterday we wanted to come on here live and continue to push our fundraiser. We're a few days into, and we're so thankful for what you guys are doing. As of right now, we are at 264,000 pounds of 320,000 pound goal. So we've now moved it under, what's that? 55 plus thousand pounds left to go. And the donations have went up to 4,212. So we're coming along nicely. We just want to finish that out and complete Project Tatiana, Campaign 22, Pete's plans and dreams and hopes, and be able to close this door and support the heroes on the front line of Ukraine. I want to be able to call Ma Rose, even get her on here on a video, and just say, Ma, we got it done. So thank you. And for Project Constantine with Yana and Galina, we are so grateful. So guys, links in the description. Professor Gertis and I will continue pushing that as well.
So people understand. Tell people a little bit about what goes into this project. This project started when Pete the medic was still alive, trying to get this thing off the ground. It was to support multiple units, and they had raised to about 200,000.
Yeah,
well, not quite 200,000. I pushed it for a little while after, and then I just got distracted with other things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
When we started, we just a few days ago, we were at 205. So we're already meeting needs left and right. No funds sit there. It's administrated by Project Constantine, of whom I know all of these people personally and have been on the fronts with them. Yana included, out of South Africa, when she came for her trip to Ukraine. And of course, Galina literally lives near a frontline position. And of course, I can't say where, but just incredible work that they do. So Pete's dream was the 67th, of whom he was a part, had to defend 22 positions. And they had no supply. So Pete's original,
it's mind-boggling. I mean,
no
it's
supply.
like to our minds, like it's mind-boggling that you would have a unit that is not supplied by above and sent out and like, well, do the best you can with what you have. So
at that point in time, they were at a location over in the east, and they were defending, but needed supply. Vehicles, drones, medical supplies, you name it, guys, anything to outfit 22 different positions. And I can remember riding in the vehicle with Pete, and he looking over and said, I've got this dream, man. It's crazy. The girls are telling me I'm nuts. Okay. And I told them, have faith, girls, we'll get it done. And the girls he's referring to is Yana and Galina. And it was, Greg, we have to fill these 22 positions. It's my dream. We have to supply them. So that's the heart of it. Of course, Pete gave his life defending Ukraine, and we need to finish this. Now it is adjusted because where they were at on the front, they've moved 3 different times. So the project stays the same. Like, guys, since we started, it's over 50,000, almost 60,000 pounds have come in,
Yeah.
and the money's already rolling out. It doesn't sit there. Yana
Yeah,
doing a
that's the one good
phenomenal
thing
job.
about this particular the way they do this here. They don't wait for it all to be like, "Hey, we got this much, let's send it. This much, let's send it. This much, let's send it." So that's really good how they do this.
Yes. And they will be, I'm just checking things over here to my right. I've got screens going everywhere. This is going to be a little bit not as organized clunkier because we're watching so much breaking news. But this is here, guys. So make sure, whether today or going forward into next week, we finish this campaign and we will rejoice together. We will supply you with video confirmation. You will see the deliveries. You will get the reports, and it's hand to hand. And that's the only way we work. So that's the shout out. Thank you guys for all that you do. All right, Prof, where do you want to start? I think I'm gonna surrender to the PhD.
No. I mean, so we wanted to talk about what was going on with the shakeup in the cabinet, and we can do that. But right now, we woke up to Venezuela, and you couldn't avoid this in the news feeds, right? I mean, you woke up to Venezuela being attacked by the United States, and then with that attack, Maduro was captured. Greg put out his video. I put out my video about that. And so we're up to speed mostly about what was going on. Yeah, Jonathan McElravy is saying a world on fire. It sure feels like a world on fire.
It is, and okay, we need to understand that in the big scheme of things, I'm reading what Russia's saying about this. These stories will have a connection.
Yeah. And Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs saying how terrible it is that the United States would violate international law by like the hypocrisy is just it's hard to even imagine, but yes, they're putting that kind of thing out. Well,
let me remind you two things. Number one, Maduro's last meeting was with the Chinese envoy of President Xi,
right?
Hours before he was taken.
Yeah, that's where he said he was a tiger.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, and it went.
I need to get you one of these, Prof.
Oh, look at that! You got some swag. How about that?
I only have one cup. Yeah. There is no merch. I just have one cup.
I'm drinking from an academic conference from a couple of years ago. So,
let me remind you guys of this, though. October 2025, Russian State Duma ratified a strategic partnership with Venezuela. The document was signed on May 7th, 2025, and then the Duma ratified it. The document stated aimed at building a multipolar world, enabling Venezuela to develop a sovereign state and allowing the people of Venezuela to plan their own future. The ratification was concrete steps toward peace, development, stability, not only for Venezuela, but Latin America as a whole. So this basically tells you that the Kremlin has no influence whatsoever in Venezuela.
Well, they were trying to.
They were trying
to put, like, they were even saying that they might put Orishniks there. And that's like, the Cuban Missile Crisis kind of close. I mean, it's right in the U.S.'s backyard. And yeah, so Russia has been very supportive of Maduro. Just recently, as of the 12th of December, was saying, we've got your back. This was Putin. I showed a news article of Putin saying that we're supporting you and that sort of thing. Well, didn't work out so well.
No. And okay, I'm frazzled, and usually I try to be so organized.
I understand. I feel pulled different directions because I was just yesterday talking about Iran, and I'm trying to maintain what's going on with Ukraine primarily, but these other, even what's going on in Iran is tied to like it's not tied to Ukraine, it's tied to Russia, and Russia's tied to Ukraine, right? I mean,
let's do this. Let's mix them. Let me pull up Ukraine's response to this officially. How about that?
Okay.
And we can mix
is
the
that
two.
Subiga?
Mm-hmm.
Subiga statement? Yeah.
Yes. I have it here. Keep talking so I can find it.
So Jonathan McElravy again says, what are your views on the dystopia that the Trump policy is creating in the world? How will this affect Ukraine? Well, what's going on in Venezuela is part of the new U.S. military doctrine, which is hemispheric, right? Like looking at what's going on in our backyard.
The Monroe Doctrine, which he in his press conference just named the Donroe Doctrine.
He now?
He called it the Donroe Doctrine.
Okay. They talked about a Trump, not caveat, Trump corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. That's what they had said previously. But basically, this is our sphere of influence. That's your sphere of influence. I think that's bad for the world to begin with, because it'll be backfilled by bad actors if the U.S. withdraws its mostly fairly benevolent hand comparatively to what other countries might do for whatever personal gain. And so this is a bad direction to go. Now, I'm glad for the people of Venezuela because Maduro stole the election. I'm not necessarily excited about how this went down. Trump hasn't really explained why he was doing what he was doing or that there was any critical threat, while they're blaming Maduro for drug trafficking. Like, Colombia is right next door. I mean, if that's really the issue, but like, I'm not complaining in the sense that Maduro is so tied to Russia and China and Iran and other bad actors, but I'm trying to understand why that was the focus of American wrath. So
I have so much stuff going on here. I've got to get the Subiga. Well, while I'm doing that, let me put this up here. I'm struggling right now. Let's do this.
You look like you just haven't gotten enough coffee. That's
Lindsey Graham. We'll come back to Subiga. To my Chinese friends, in case you were planning a follow-up meeting with Maduro, he has a new address. It will be difficult to schedule another appointment, but I know he means a lot to you. Good luck. Oh, by the way, quit propping up narco-terrorist dictators like Maduro. Quit buying oil from Putin. I wanted to show this because of that statement. That is keeping his war machine flush with cash, and reconsider propping up the Ayatollah in Iran, a religious Nazi, by buying his oil. China has aligned itself with every bad actor on the planet, keeping conflict ablaze. It's time that they pay a price for the chaos they are sowing. So we have invaded Venezuela, taken their president, and now we are threatening China.
Well, so I mean, this is part of saber rattling. That's not going to go anywhere. But I mean, I wouldn't. That wouldn't be my headline. My headline would be what happened in Venezuela, not this. I think it's a bridge too far to say threatening China like you're going to start into a hot war with China over that.
I didn't say it. Lindsey Graham said
No, but what you're saying is you're threatening China. No, I mean, you are, but they talk past each other like this all the time.
I understand. I'm just reading what an elected senator states, who has been very pro-Ukrainian and very anti Russia. So
are you still looking for the Subiga?
I am. I've got it. But
instead of doing that, let's just talk and answer questions, because that's not really
I got it. This is what I wanted.
That's not really the big thing.
Let's do it. No, it is.
But Ukraine is really pro people of Venezuela, and that's what you'll find in Subiga's his statement.
Okay. here. Ukraine has consistently defended the right of nations to live freely, free of dictatorship, oppression, human rights violations. The Maduro regime has violated all such principles in every respect. This is Subiga from Ukraine. Democratic countries and human rights organizations across the globe have emphasized his regime's widespread crimes, violence, torture, oppression, abuse of basic freedoms, stolen votes, destruction of democracy, and the rule of law. Ukraine has not recognized Maduro's legitimacy following rigged elections and violence against protesters, along with dozens of other countries in different parts of the world. The people of Venezuela must have a chance for a normal life, security, prosperity, and human dignity. We will continue to support their right to such normality, respect, and freedom. Then he says, we stand for further developments in accordance with the principles of international law, prioritizing democracy, human rights, and the interest of Venezuelans. Thank you to everyone around the world who helps to protect life. That's his statement. So,
yeah, I mean, so I think many people have mixed emotions about what happened with Venezuela. Like, hey, should the U.S. have done that? But so that's part A. B is, well, Maduro shouldn't be there anyway because he's not the elected actual president. Gonzalez won by a landslide, and Maduro said, sorry, my election officials said that I won by a landslide, even when it was clearly not the case. And so, and I don't even know that that's why Trump did it, or that, you know, that Trump had that motivation. His motivation seems to be, well, okay, so let's talk about that. So whatever Trump's motivations
keep going. I got some videos I'm gonna roll for you. Keep going.
Yeah,
yes,
whatever
sir.
Trump's motivations were, it's probably not defending democracy. Like, this is not the way that Trump rolls. Like, he's not George W. Bush. He's not talking about making the world safe for democracy again, as past presidents in the United States has. He is looking at it very differently. This is our neighborhood. He's not going to be doing this. And he's pretty chummy with Putin. So it's not, but he doesn't want anybody having a foothold in the neighborhood. That's okay. So that's his thing. He was also talking just about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, about Venezuelan oil, or so they stole American companies. They nationalized in Venezuela American companies that were drilling for oil in Venezuela and had all the appropriate agreements, and that went by the wayside with previous presidents in Venezuela. And then Venezuela, which was doing pretty well as a country, just like crashed and burned. If you follow the flow of oil, as oil went up, Venezuela's livelihoods went up, but as oil crashed down, they couldn't maintain it. So Trump's not doing this for benevolent democratic reasons, but yet the effect on the people of Venezuela, I think, will be a net positive on the other side. That's my read of it. Do you have what you need?
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. So let's just stay in this vein, and then we'll move over to Ukraine because it's dominating right now. All right. Yeah. So what happens next for Venezuela?
We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years.
All right, so there's that statement. We will run.
So it should be obvious that Gonzalez is the guy. Machado, the Nobel Prize winner from Venezuela, was there already talking about how they're working out a transition government. So I mean, they shouldn't have to have another election. Gonzalez properly won, so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Okay, let me ask you this question. If that was any other nation on the planet, if Vladimir Putin was saying, we will run that country until we can make sure we have a government in place, or
but you gotta understand the context. I know where you're going with this, but
there is no context.
No, there is context, because there is a difference between restoring, if it's restoring Gonzalez, who should be the proper guy, as opposed to, we're going to run the place and then we'll put in Marco Rubio for his fifth job. That would be different, right?
I agree with that.
I understand what you're saying. I get the heartburn. I don't even know why we're invading, really, to begin with, because Like, should this have merited invasion? Is that what we should have been doing?
Okay, we're both educated in the United States. You have a PhD. I do not, although I have a college degree. We are very experienced. I've worked 38 nations of the world. We're looking at it from an American perspective. But when another person from around the world hears the president of the United States say, we will run Venezuela, everything else is blocked out.
Just watch what happens, though. Okay. But then watch what happens. If Gonzales is restored in reasonably short order, that's a very different thing than what you're describing.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I just given the benefit of the doubt on that.
Historically speaking, I can't give him the benefit of the doubt because we have a special envoy to Greenland, and in the same speech he just gave, he talks about getting involved in Mexico. I'm sorry, I can't give him the benefit of the doubt.
I understand. And the saber rattling here in Greenland and Mexico is stupidness. I mean, why are we doing that?
Let's go here.
And let's look at McFall talking about how 4 of 17, only 4 of 17, like, of these kind of attempts in American history have gone well over to displace someone. Manuel Noriega would have been an example of something that worked out. So this would be 5 of 18 now, right? So we don't have a great track record in this sort of thing, but nonetheless, this is what happened, and we're trying to interpret what happened. And so
let me ask you this question before I go to some other video clips. Do you think that this was prearranged? And because I don't see where Venezuela responded at all.
Maduro was really nervous here lately. He was talking about we can make some deals. Let's have whatever American oil companies, because he knew his time was getting short.
Okay, and just so people know, Russian oil companies have oil facilities in Venezuela, and Chinese.
Not anymore. I don't think it'll be flowing anytime soon.
You're confirming my argument here, I think.
No, I'm not. Everything is going to be on hold until everything starts over with Gonzales, and we'll see how that works out.
You're assuming Gonzales is in.
Okay, so yeah, that's correct. I am assuming that, and if it becomes a puppet governor of some sort, that becomes maybe a different scenario. But I don't know if that's what's going to happen.
We have to wait and see.
I think the Nobel Prize winner Machado is already working toward trying to get things established, and I think that's the direction that things will go. I think it'll work out well for the Venezuelan people in general. I like the former top officials in Venezuela. They're going to have a rough patch ahead. So, but yeah, I don't see it turning into any hotter war as long as Venezuela doesn't do more, like try to fight off something. I think it's essentially over. Now, what's interesting is this is what Putin wanted to do to Ukraine. Right? Putin thought he was going to have this kind of blitzkrieg lightning strike 3 days, and he was going to have Ukraine. The difference here is that, well, there's a lot of differences, right? Putin was fighting the Ukrainians who were like defending their families. That's not the scenario here in Venezuela.
And Zelensky is a democratically elected president.
Right. And so as opposed to the dictator who stole the election and shouldn't be there to begin with, and all they want is him. They don't want the government. They're not trying. The U.S. isn't trying to take over the country of Venezuela and make it the 51st state. So it's a very different scenario than what's going on here. But again, I still have questions of why we're doing it to begin with.
Fair enough. I want to draw attention to this comment here from @CTAF vet. So I see possibly a Connecticut Air Force vet or something. Don't assume all people will think the worst of the U.S. Many have been waiting for the U.S. to grow a backbone. I agree with that, sir, and thank you for your service to our country. For me, it's just the principle of the after effects of that, especially in lieu of what's happening around the world right now. Does this now green light other nations to do similar things? China, Taiwan. I mean,
Oh, I don't think it greenlights China and Taiwan. I think it actually makes Xi a little bit more nervous. Like, oh, they might do something. Like, does that make sense? Now, I don't know that that's the case. It's not making Putin nervous, and that's because of Putin's. They have a great relationship. They've always had a great. But if I was the Ayatollahs, I'd be really hyper nervous right now because Trump hasn't liked the Ayatollahs. Trump and the now again, if Iran's trying to take out Trump, and I'm not going to say the word, but it has it's a long word about removing someone from this earth. I'm trying not to do that for YouTube censors. You understand what I'm saying? Because Iran has been behind that kind of thing, and Iran promised they wouldn't do it again, right? So Trump has some animosity for Iran. If I were the mullahs in Iran, I'd be very nervous right now seeing what just happened to Maduro. I don't know the effect on China, but I don't think it'll be a pleasant effect on China. The effect on Putin will probably be negligible. That's my estimation.
Let me go to this clip, and this was from Fox News earlier. This was the first place Donald Trump started talking.
What do you see as the future of Venezuela's oil industry?
Well, I see that we're going to be very strongly involved in it. That's all. I mean, what can I say? We have the greatest oil companies in the world, the biggest, the greatest, and we're going to be very much involved in it. We can't do something like this, and we're prepared. We were prepared to do a second wave. We were all set, and this was so lethal, this was so powerful that we didn't have to, but we're prepared. We're out there with an armada like nobody's ever seen before, and we're prepared. And we're prepared, and frankly, probably thought we were going to have to do it, but we were prepared for a second wave going in.
Okay, so let me go there. So we will run the country, and we will deal with the oil. I'm just...
Maybe you're reading it through your Donald Trump filter. Rather than through what's actually there. Like, remember, this much of the oil is what previous Venezuelan president has stolen from America, largely American companies. And so if that's the extent of it, now maybe I'm too generous, but I try to put the best face on everything. So I try to be, kind enough to Trump until he proves that he's not actually doing anything with Ukraine, and there's just the evidence just isn't there that he's going to do anything to Russia. I gave him more than the benefit of the doubt. So I think that's where your impulse is because of your animosity toward Trump. So I mean, I think that's it. But we just don't know what'll happen moving along. We should be reporting on what we know, not speculating on what this really means or something like that. Otherwise, we get ourselves into some trouble.
I appreciate your statement there, and I understand if it's our companies, there were pre-existing contracts. I get it.
Have you heard any language like this is going to become the 51st state?
No, Canada is going to be the 51st state.
No, he hasn't talked about Venezuela at all like he talked about Canada or Greenland or that sort of thing. So I just don't see that same kind of moving forward. Had he done that, then I'd be much more toward your position, saying like, maybe that's what he's trying to do. I just don't perceive that that's what he's trying to do. And without evidence, we shouldn't be saying that.
How about Hegseth? I haven't even listened to this. This is his clip.
Adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime. The coordination, the stealth, the lethality, the precision, the very long arm of American justice, all on full display in the middle of the night. Nicolas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't. He effed around, and he found out.
Okay, so I think this is kind of like this is my read, is that I'm trying to remember what movie or whatever this was in, but it was either on a schoolyard or in prison or whatever. The advice that was given to someone was like, go and knock out the biggest, baddest guy on the prison yard or the school ground yard, and nobody will mess with you again. Now, Maduro is not that. Like their army's pretty lame. But what Hegseth was just explaining was they just demonstrated pretty substantial force that will tell the rest of the world, don't screw with it. Like that. I think that was a lot of the calculus. In fact, that's more explanatory than anything else that I can conceive of why Maduro. I mean, yes, he's a bad actor, and yes, there are reasons, but that's really the biggest benefit to the U.S. as far as I can determine.
Okay, let's do this.
I have a somebody that said in a chat while you're getting this up, Happy New Year. I really appreciate you two ridding the world of these influences good. Now we need to promote and boost SV with integrity and ethically. I guess it's world with integrity. I mean, so I'm not sure exactly what they're saying here, but yeah, I mean, again, the way that we got here is weird. And I'm not sure that I understand it, and I wouldn't have advocated for it because I don't think the case was made for why an invasion needs to happen. And I know people will ask things about, well, doesn't he have to have congressional approval? Yeah, within 60 days. But it's over. If it's over in a day, then that's becomes a moot point.
And that's not a problem?
Well, it depends on what I still don't understand why this was needed. That's what I'm trying to understand. Why this was.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, I understand. I'm asking the same question here. Why was this necessary? I'm saying on the backside, I'm not saying the end justifies the means. You're not hearing me say that.
No.
I am saying it's a net positive for Venezuelan people, likely on the backside of this, but I don't understand why we thought that this was a priority to begin with, as opposed to other conflicts around the world or minding our own business, as MAGA would have you mind your own business. What'll be interesting to see, to my mind, is how does MAGA react to this? Or do they just fall in line and go, yeah, we showed Maduro in Venezuela? Or do they go, hey, weren't we supposed to be the interested in interventions people? So it'll be interesting to see how that polling plays out in a few days.
Let's look at some other angles then. Kirill Dmitriev, basically the economic guru for Russia, also the negotiator one of the negotiators that works hand in hand with Witkoff. He represents the Kremlin, talking about Ukraine. This is his latest statement that came out an hour ago. Venezuela has the largest oil reserves. There are about 20% of the world's reserves there, which is approximately 7 times more than in the United States. At the same time, American sanctions are currently keeping production at a level of about 700,000 barrels per day with a potential of 3 million. If we add the production of the United States and Venezuela together, it will be 20%, 1/5 of the world global supply.
We think about Saudi Arabia as being the big oil producing. Venezuela is bigger than Saudi Arabia for oil. Now they ran it into the ground after they nationalized American companies. They took over and just kind of destroyed themselves. But if you had that up and running again, it would change the dynamic of world oil supply in a heartbeat. Well, not a heartbeat, but you understand, in a very short period of time, energy would be very cheap.
Okay, here we go. Stay on that topic. We're getting in a flow here now, right here. Summary of AI demand forecast. This is according to Wells Fargo, and this is for United States electricity demand. You see 2023, 24, 25, 26, 27. By 2030, it's going to be 10x the required energy needed to run AI. This is this is from Wells Fargo Securities estimations. So Russia is already taking, I got this graph from Russia, they're already taking it, saying the United States is going to need the resources for 10x more energy, and this is actually about the future and AI.
Do you really run your energy on oil, though? Coal, I understand. If you're trying to
drill, baby, drill.
Nuclear power plants, windmills, do you understand? Like oil.
Drill, baby, drill.
Yeah, but oil runs something different. Oil runs transport and things along those lines. It's just
Okay.
it's a different category of energy.
Fair enough. I'm just
Like it's not fair for Kirill to be saying that. Like that's that's not fair at all.
well,
That is not what's going to
it doesn't
power
matter that
AI.
it's fair. I think
No.
this is where we
Yeah, Russian propaganda is going to
this
come
is
out
where
and say
we
that.
have a
Sure.
difference on how Russian propaganda works. It doesn't
No,
matter
I don't
that
have a
it's not
difference.
fair.
I'm saying it's not fair for Russian propaganda to do that. They're certainly going to do that. And yeah.
But that's the problem, because they overwhelmingly control the global narrative, not the United States.
Yeah, and we have to be pushing back and restricting our soft power, like Radio Free Europe or Radio Liberty or whatever, is kind of
But-
a not so smart move.
When we do actions like this, yes, it demonstrated American strength. Yes, Maduro is not elected properly in power.
Yeah, he lost the election very
Correct.
quite clearly. And
He's
and just
not-
said, my election officials said that I won.
He's not in power,
So
properly, legally. I get all of that. And yes, we basically took out Maduro, and there are really minimal to no casualties. It's an incredible operation.
there wasn't a shot fired on the Venezuelan side,
Correct.
from what I read.
Which makes you think that Venezuela probably wanted to be involved in this. And stood
Again,
down.
the Venezuelans want out.
I
Just like
agree.
the Iranians. The Iranians want the mullahs to go. They're now chanting death to the mullahs, not death to the United States and death to Israel.
Okay,
right?
then
It's very different.
Fair enough. Back it out now. What happens? What happens between the relationship of Russia and the United States right now? What happens?
I don't know. I mean, as long as Trump is so beholden to, like, I have this close personal relationship with President Putin and whatever, I don't know. Trump has to understand at this point that Putin lied directly to him. Like, he now has the evidence to show that, yes, this attack on his house didn't really happen. The fabricated controller from the drone wasn't even the right kind of controller for the drone. Like, I mean, they're pretty bad at that. I mean, in Russia, it seems. So he has to know that Putin lied to him, and yet he just seems to like Putin. I for some reason I can't quite fathom.
What will Putin's response be to the United States doing this and his friend Donald Trump?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What will Putin's view be? So forget the American view that way. What will Putin's view be?
Of Trump or of this? Of the
Of
event?
this Trump and what it
Of
permits
Trump,
him to do.
I don't know what he's going to be thinking of Trump. Of the event, this is like same kind of loss as Syria. It's not as bad as Iran, which you could lose as well. But Russia's geopolitical influence is waning when he's losing Syria one year and Venezuela the next, and potentially Iran within the same year.
I think
Somebody asked me here in my thread, do you think that if Iran falls and Venezuela, it will weaken Russia? Absolutely. Loss of the power and the connection in Venezuela has weakened Russia. There's no doubt about that. And if it's Iran, man, it's going to be even more weakened geopolitically. So, that's a net positive in my.
Okay.
Now, as you're searching for this, let me ask something.
think I'm
You're
seeing.
talking about propaganda. Let me.
Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
You're talking about propaganda. RT was built for this kind of thing.
Oh yes.
RT, its entire operation is to say, question everything. You think that things are bad in Russia? Let's look at the rest of the world. Look at what they're doing over here, and look at what they're doing over here, and look at what they're doing over there, which is all the same things that Russia's doing. So we're not that bad. I mean, that's how they'll try to portray things like what's going on here. So you'll see that happen. But what I've seen from Medvedev and other Russian authorities today has been nothing but this is bad. How can the United States do this, including the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, saying like how terrible it is. They're breaking the rule of law. Which, I mean, okay, I get it. I can even understand the argument. What I don't understand is how they can say that, like how they can actually make that argument, given what they're doing to Ukraine.
Can people in the chat, maybe you know more? I saw on Russian propaganda where it's in Russian, so I can't play it. I don't have time to translate or voice it over, where they're saying the vice president just took the oath of office for presidency of Venezuela.
The vice president just took.
Yes, I can't confirm it.
Well, that's a continuation of the same thing, but he'll be one of the shortest-lived vice presidents.
I cannot confirm it. I'm waiting to confirm it.
I don't mean die. I mean, like, I think the replacement will be that Gonzalez will be reinstalled or properly installed. I think that's what will happen, but I don't know for sure.
Okay, I've got some statements here on Putin. Let's do this. Let me throw this at you guys, and we're doing the best we can here. Here's this is live. Here's Rubio.
Yeah. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward, which I guess we saved $50 million. And
make sure.
Yeah, exactly. But
don't let anybody claim it. Nobody deserves it but us.
Okay, so Rubio, as he does, the mild one, $50 million bounty was there. This was
and that's true. I've seen the FBI
100%.
Yeah, and he has done some bad things to the United States, trying to not just narco whatever, but also trying to maybe slip weapons into the U.S. And I'm sure maybe FBI knows things that we don't know, or CIA or whoever. Somebody in the comments said, "May you live in interesting times." You don't want interesting times.
Yeah,
it's way too interesting. It strikes me like Peter Drucker talked about organizations that are poorly run are like this. He said that well-run organizations are boring. That's the kind of world that you want to live in. You want to live in stable and boring.
I want to thank everybody right now that's in the live, and I want to give big shout out to the moderators on both of our channels, those that are sending questions. I'm trying to cover them all. I have literally 5 screens I'm looking at, trying to get you breaking clips and have a conversation with Prof. So we'll get to your comments. Those of you that have super chatted, thank you. For all the moderators managing the chat, I can't even look at it due to just this is a impromptu.
Yeah, this is
topic. Impromptu topic change
about those,
and we will close with that. We will, because it's important. Take a listen at this.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, is there a message here for Cuba and Diaz-Canel?
Well, Cuba is an interesting case. Cuba is, not doing very well right now. That system has not been a very good one for Cuba. The people there have suffered for many, many years, and I think Cuba is going to be something we'll end up talking about, because Cuba is a failing nation right now, very badly failing nation. And we want to help the people. It's very similar in the sense that we want to help the people in Cuba, but we want to also help the people that were forced out of Cuba and living in this country. Do you want to say something about that, Marco, please?
Well, I mean, I just gave you a statement a few minutes ago about, when the president speaks, you should take him seriously. Suffice it to say, Cuba is a disaster. It's run by incompetent, senile men, and in some cases, not senile, but incompetent nonetheless. It has no economy. It's in total collapse. And by the way, they were, all of the guards that helped protect Maduro, this is well known, their whole spy agency, all that were full of Cubans. I mean, it's amazing. This poor island took over Venezuela in some cases. One of the biggest problems the Venezuelans have is they have to declare independence from Cuba, that tried to basically colonize it from a security standpoint. So, yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned, at least a little bit.
All right, so there you go. And
so, like,
Rubio can talk.
Bones, like, that's Rubio.
Absolutely.
Rubio hates the government of Cuba. wants to see Cuba restored. I think he has some kind of connection in his lineage to it, but at least he does with Florida and Miami and whatever else. I mean, like Hispanics in Florida, a lot of them. Like in New York, Hispanics have real ties to like Puerto Rico. It's weird. In Florida, it's to Cuba, and so there's like big differences with that. I'm in his heart of hearts, Rubio would want to have seen this done to Cuba. like that's the real story. I don't know that anything will come of that, but I mean, yeah. And so this is a message to Cuba and Iran and to other places just as much. Like, okay, it's the parallel here is like when you fire someone, the business literature talks about like be nice to them because while you're firing them, you're sending a message to everybody that's still here. Like when you have to let somebody go, you're sending a message to everybody that remains about how they will be treated. So that's the same kind as a parallel or metaphor.
All right, let me do this. Since we're there, stay on that same topic. And then I do have some information on Trump talking about Vladimir Putin and the war in Ukraine, and also another statement about Venezuela. But since we're there, let's go to this one. We talked about Cuba. This is Trump earlier on Fox. This one. Here we go.
Well, it wasn't meant to be, and we're very friendly with her. She's a good woman, but
Mexico.
The cartels are running Mexico. She's not running Mexico. The cartels are running Mexico. And we could be politically correct and be nice and say, oh, yes, she is. No, she's very, she's very frightened of the cartels. They're running Mexico. And I've asked her numerous times, would you like us to take out the cartels? No, Mr. President. No, please. So we have to do something because we lost. The real number is 300,000 people, in my opinion. They like to say 100,000. 100,000 is a lot of people, but the real number is 300,000 people. And we lost it to drugs, and they come in through the southern border, mostly the southern border. Plenty come in through Canada, too, by the way, in case you don't know. Yeah. But they come in through the southern border, and something's going to have to be done with Mexico.
All right.
So that's some saber rattling there. I mean, right? I mean, I don't know that anything's going to come of that, but somebody put a comment here that is awesome. It's cool that this expansionism does not require more changes. United States of America, or Americas, still goes on as USA as an abbreviation.
All right, here. I haven't previewed this. I'm just getting these video clips in. So here we go.
Sure.
This one's nobody for Venezuela.
Because for us to just leave, who's going to take over? I mean, there is nobody to take over. You have a vice president who's been appointed by Maduro, and right now she's the vice president, and she's, I guess, the president. She was sworn in as president just a little while ago.
There we go.
She had a long conversation with Marco, and she said, we'll do whatever you need. I think she was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice.
So there you have it. She has been sworn in. She's spoken with our Secretary of State, and
so what I heard in that
asking for help
was we don't have another person, but you do. You have Gonzalez, who was elected, and if you put Gonzalez in, then everything goes back to being kind of set the right direction. Look, if you break a bone, the doctor has to reset it, right? And if the doctor is resetting it, in this scenario, it should be Gonzalez who properly being installed properly, right? As far as I can detect. Okay, if you don't do that, I don't know what the scenario is going to be. I get more concerned if I key in on just that one sentence than if I look at the big picture of that, which is he's trying to say, well, she's like, yep, you're the boss, whatever you say. Go ahead.
That's an open question right now that we need to pay attention to, because I'm trying to stay balanced and do the very best I can, because I do get emotional about this, and I love my country. I love my country. I love our military, my multi-generational military. I just struggle with how we do things right now. And I sometimes don't know how to vocalize that.
Clear enough case of why to the American people. Like they just started taking out these drug boats I think they're drug boats. I'd like to believe that that's what's going on. Even then, I'm not sure that that's what the military is supposed to be doing, but maybe they know something that I don't know, but they haven't made the case. And so I'm not saying the end justifies the means. I'm saying the ultimate reality is that it probably benefits Venezuela, but I don't know that this should have happened in order to get there. So,
all right, I'm getting more stuff in. I want to talk about the Russia-Ukraine angle a little bit now because President Trump has made some statements in his morning report on Fox and also in his press conference just now. So I've got 4 clips. We'll do them one at a time. This is what he said about the war in Russia and Ukraine this morning.
But we can't take a chance after having done this incredible thing last night of letting somebody else take over, where we have to do it again. We can do it again, too. Nobody can stop us. There's nobody that has the capability that we have. When I watch that war in Russia going on and on and on and everybody dying, and it's like it's primitive. It's primitive. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Could you tell us, Mr. President?
What do you think?
I think he's a moron.
Okay. I mean, about what he said, though.
Let me finish. I think he's a moron. All you're doing is saber rattling by saying there's nobody greater than us on the planet. No problem. The world knows that. We are the greatest military force on the planet, and it's not even close. But B, the war's not in Russia. The war's in Ukraine, and I want to make that very clear. And this war is anything but primitive. It's the most technologically advanced war with new technology, not planes and helicopters and thermals where you can see at night and go take Maduro, which was powerful. But we're talking about a completely new chapter of warfare that is far from primitive. So that's my thought.
So if we got into a hot war, I'm not saying that we are, but if we got into a hot war with Ukraine, given what Ukraine has done, I think we would have found a comeuppance in military technology. And this is where Fedorov comes in to becoming the defense minister, right? A comeuppance in our military technology where they have innovated in ways that we're just not thinking. We're still thinking old school. And this worked with trying to grab Maduro and old school powerful tech that did great jobs doing military, but the military is supposed to break things and kill people, right? They did a great job with that. I'm not taking anything away from the United States military. However, they're doing something very different than what the Ukrainians are doing back to Russia, trying to defend themselves.
Nice comment here. Trump, this is from Runtscow. Trump being fine with Maduro's vice president being sworn in says it all. I agree with that. Okay.
Well, we just don't know how that'll play out. I mean, I understand what you're saying. We have to be careful in speculation.
Okay, then let's speculate on this, which is not a speculation. This is a direct quote from, I can't believe I'm going to do this, but Marjorie Taylor Greene. If prosecuting narco-terrorists is truly a priority, why did President Trump pardon former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was convicted and sentenced to 45 years for trafficking massive amounts of cocaine into the U.S., the same drug Venezuela primarily traffics? The next obvious observation is that removing Maduro looks like a move to secure control over Venezuelan oil supplies, likely tied to future regime change conflicts, including Iran, what you were talking about. Why is it acceptable for the U.S. to invade, bomb, and arrest a foreign leader while Russia is condemned for Ukraine and China for Taiwan? Is it only acceptable when we do it? Regime change, endless foreign wars, and U.S. tax dollars flowing overseas while Americans struggle with rising living costs, housing, healthcare, and government waste have enraged many, especially younger generations. Both parties continue funding this Washington military machine. You asked earlier about MAGA. This is what many in MAGA thought they voted to end. boy,
That's right.
boy,
That's right.
were we wrong. As boomers lose political dominance, the future will favor candidates focused on American economic populism and prosperity for Americans only. But right now, neither party offers that solution.
Okay, so part one and part two. Part one was that should Trump have pardoned this guy that was the president from Honduras that was doing the same kind of drug running kind of stuff? No, he shouldn't have. So let's set that aside. Part two, this is what I'm asking about, whether how MAGA will react to that. If MAGA, generally speaking, and we'll have polls in a week or two, but if MAGA, generally speaking, is saying what Marjorie Taylor Greene said, wait, we didn't vote for this. We don't want these additional wars. We like, that'll be very telling. My gut seems to tell me that MAGA goes wherever Trump goes. And so they'll be very supportive. My gut, I could be totally wrong. This is my prediction. And, you know, my prediction and $5 will get me a cup of coffee, right? My prediction tells me that they will enthusiastically support what Trump did with Venezuela because they support Trump, which also tells me that MAGA will be short-lived because Trump will be no longer in office in 3 years, and then it won't be the same if the name is Trump Jr. or Vance or something else. So Trump it's a phenomenon based on charismatic leadership from Trump rather than principled foreign policy. That's what I perceive.
Can you just speak to Green's statement on the narco terrorist that we pardoned?
Yeah, what about it? Yeah, I'm saying we shouldn't have pardoned him.
I know that. I know you say that.
Part
but
one.
I know. I heard it. But I want you to go a little deeper on that versus the Trump side. So
go deeper. What? I'm saying no.
Then how
That's
can
deep
it?
as you need to go. We shouldn't have done it.
Okay.
Well, I just don't understand what the question is. Like, I can't be more clear. That doesn't look like it's a.
Maybe you said it, and I was loading up a video.
If we're going to be consistent, right? Okay, if you're going,
that's what I'm looking for.
You shouldn't have done it with this guy. You shouldn't have done it with this guy, and you should be going after Colombia, not Venezuela, because Colombia is far worse than Venezuela with this. That's what you were going to. So, I mean, I don't understand what else to go deeper with.
I was moving the video in. Thank you. I didn't hear you say that, so my apologies. All right, the statements keep coming in. I have not pre-listened to them, so here we go. Administration of Venezuela.
U.S. ends up administrating Venezuela for years,
Well, it won't cost us anything because the money coming out of the ground is very substantial, so it's not going to cost us anything. We want safety there. We want to be surrounded by countries that aren't housing all of our enemies all over the world.
And let me continue with this one.
We're going to take a lot of money out so that we can take care of the country. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to most likely, possibly, be administrating it at no cost to us to keep our proximity safe. And we'll be taking a lot of money out to do that.
Okay. So
who monitors that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
This
is all new to all of us.
I know. We're all breaking news, guys.
I didn't think we'd be talking about this when I went to sleep last night.
Me either.
Somebody in my thread said USA just became Russia after the attack on Venezuela. Trump is another Putin. I don't know that that's the case. You could be right that is what happens depending on how this all plays out. But it's too early to judge that. It all depends on what happens from here. So well, again, Michael McFaul, I appreciate because he's very,
I do too.
Very consistent about how, look, I'm for regime. Like he said this, I'm for regime change in Venezuela, but not military action in order to do it. Okay, I get that. And once it actually happened, he said, well, this will be good for the people of Venezuela. But he was consistent along the way, not encouraging this to happen, but once it has happened, saying yes, this will be positive on the other side. I think that's probably correct. I could be wrong. We'll see how it plays out in time.
Okay, I got a couple of questions for you. Is this imperialism?
So it depends on how you look at it. Is it imperialism? It would be imperialism if we're taking it and making it a vassal state, a 51st state, something along those lines.
Pause.
In which case, yes.
I haven't previewed this. Just listen.
Mr. President, China, Russia, and Iran have interests in Venezuela. How does this operation affect your relationships with them when it comes to the oil and drugs?
And Russia, Russia when we get things straightened out. But in terms of other countries that want oil, we're in the oil business. We're going to sell it to them. We're not going to say we're not going to give it.
Okay. We're going to sell it to them.
So again, I don't know that clip actually did anything for us as far as your question, right? Imperialism is how Russia has expanded by conquering its neighbors and then enfolding it into itself. Imperialism could have been the British Empire, right? Back in the 17 somethings,
no question,
with the United States, with Canada, with Australia, with India. But there doesn't seem to be the same appetite to take over Venezuela and make it our own, as opposed to, maybe he's going to pay for it with the oil that's there. That's about as close as you're going to get to it. But that's very different than what Russia's trying to do to Ukraine right now.
Okay. In international law, does the United States have I'm just asking a question. Any country, I'm sorry, let me do this more fairly. Does any country have the right to go in and remove a leader, whether they're elected or not?
Again, that case hasn't really been made, but if that country's leadership was trying to do what it seems like they're trying to argue was being done to the U.S., then that might be a legitimate thing. I don't know.
The reason I
asked, been made well enough.
The reason I ask is because Rubio just stated that Congress was notified only after the mission because it was not a military operation. It was largely a law enforcement operation.
Okay, so that's how they're going to argue it. Same kind of thing, I think, with the way that they're. So yeah.
That's why I'm asking.
I understand.
That's why I'm asking.
I understand the argument, and that's one way that they'll get around it. And they're also going to argue that they don't need to notify Congress within a certain period of time, which is true. The executive branch does have the right to do something, to act quickly, to act swiftly. This was the idea of having an executive, a solitary single executive. The founding fathers actually argued in the debates about whether they should have a single executive or a committee of 3 or 7 or that kind of thing. Imagine that, presidency of 7. And they decided on one so that he could act swiftly as necessary for whatever threats may be coming. Now, I don't know that this was one of those cases where he needed to do that, but that's the spirit of why you would have an executive with that kind of power. Got something else?
Yeah. Okay, so we just got. I will tell you this: I've been multitasking here, trying to hear in this ear, see the screens, get stuff loaded up for us to discuss and communicate, share. I need a few more brains and hands.
So somebody here in my thread was saying something. Let me see where that. Oh, I just lost it. Here it is. They said about imperialism. Professor G, imperialism is stronger nations exerting power and authority over weaker nations. So technically it would be imperialism. That's not the actual definition. It's a policy of extending a country's power and influence through diplomacy or military force. And that could be but generally speaking, so anytime you're doing that could be, but it's generally speaking, imperialism means that you're grabbing their territory or bringing them under your control in a way where they're going to be kind of a vassal of what you are. Now, if they capture and release, that's different than capture and eat. Right? I mean, catch and release is different. The U.S. in World War II captured a lot of ground, but then it left France and left Germany and left, right? I mean, if that's what they do in the future, that's a different thing than what Putin's trying to do, which is full on imperialism.
I just put a question into ChatGPT about what percentage of Donald Trump's press conference following the Venezuela actions was drugs mentioned, and ChatGPT telling me less than 10%. So 90% approximately.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, we're not even talking about drugs.
Yeah, he hasn't made the case for this. So drugs are only one small component of this. And if drugs was really the thing, you should be looking at Colombia. So there's more to the story.
Here we go.
I think it's more hemispheric than it is drugs.
It's the Monroe Doctrine. Here you go. Ready?
The Donroe.
The Donroe Doctrine. Here you go. Now we're working in tandem, Prof.
Well, he has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
And he's referring to Colombia there. It just wasn't in the clip.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, if that was the true cause of all this, that would be a different thing. I don't, again, there's not clarity from the U.S. making the case for why this has to happen. And that should have been there.
Agreed. Let's go and listen to
by the way, I'm not arguing. Somebody put in here, if removal of leadership is okay, how would you react if Canada or SAS went in and removed Trump? Look, I'm not advocating that this is a good, any country can do this because might makes right or anything like that. I am saying here's what has happened. Here is what should have been happening. They should have made a case if they're going to do this. If an adversary of the United States is doing something to the United States, they're going to act and interact with whatever that adversary is doing, whether that's some guy you never heard of or whether that's Maduro. Okay, so that's part of what's going on. And should they have done this? I don't see the clarity of the explanation yet. So I'm not saying might makes right. I'm not doing that. I'm not saying my country right or wrong. I'm trying to get clarity myself.
Agreed. I agree. What makes it difficult for us, and I think everybody on multiple sides could look at this and say, okay, agree with you completely, agree 50%, disagree, you're an idiot, Greg, or vice versa for you, Prof. But I think one thing we can all agree on is that with the war in Ukraine, the actions in the Middle East, Iran, China, Taiwan, and we can continue listing the strike in Nigeria just a few weeks ago, the saber rattling about Mexico.
That was supposed to be Venezuela. By the way, I was reading something that said that was supposed to be when they struck in Nigeria. That was the date that they were supposed to strike in Venezuela, and it got moved because this thing was more urgent in Nigeria, apparently.
The point being, there's so much destabilization and chaos around the globe, it makes it difficult for us to process this, especially when it's breaking before you get some days to let the dust settle and further understanding come. So we're doing our very best because it's not easy. Let's listen to what he said about Putin and Ukraine here.
No, we didn't. We never spoke about Maduro.
Are you mad at him right now? I mean,
Putin.
I'm not thrilled with Putin. I'm not thrilled with Putin. He's killing too many people.
I'll continue. Good statement.
If I were president, that would have never happened. But I inherited that war. That was Joe Biden, Zelensky, and Putin. I came into the situation, and it's a mess.
Here we go.
If we had our people, like this general, and our people involved, that war would not have gone on very long, that I can tell you.
All right. So 3 different statements.
So all you have
there.
to do is use that influence to twist Putin's arm, because he's not twisting Putin's arm. That time, was it the Times article the other day about Keith Kellogg really brought that out. Like, the American team was was twisting Zelensky's arm until Zelensky was making concessions about, yes, we'll probably have to give up some land somewhere. We understand that. We're working with you. We want to have a ceasefire and we'll work with you, whatever. And then, so they were taking a hard line with the Ukrainians, but they were not taking a hard. They thought that they had to take a conciliatory tone with the Russians, and that's what they've been pursuing, and it's worked like a lead balloon.
It's I want to grab this, send. With Trump's attacks on Iran, Venezuela, Nigeria, how can we have any security against him attacking Canada, Greenland, Mexico, Panama, ... question mark.
Okay, so ask why.
Just a valid question there.
Ask yourself why. No, listen, ask yourself, put that back up.
Okay, sorry. Back up. Yeah.
Ask yourself why Iran supporting Israel, Iran trying to attack or support those who are attacking Israel. That doesn't affect Canada, Greenland, or Mexico. Venezuela might be something like that if the issue is drugs for Mexico, but it wouldn't be for Canada or Greenland. With Nigeria, it was dealing with ISIS. So they're all there. Like, you can't just large blanket on all this. Well, if he did it there, he's going to do it anywhere. You can't. That's not really fair. But yeah, I mean, I understand the concern, but there are different factors at play with Canada, Greenland, and Mexico. Why even talk about Canada or Greenland? Like, that's bizarre to me. So leave that alone.
But he does talk about.
I know
Canada,
he should leave
Greenland.
that alone. Yeah, he should leave it alone.
Okay. Another interesting comment here, and I'm ready to agree with this 100%. Trump, just a year into the presidency and making wars go longer, and this is Biden's fault still. I know there's a difference between.
He should leave that alone too.
Okay, great. All right.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, you got to stop blaming the guy before you.
Thank you.
By the way, I said the same thing about Obama with Bush.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm consistent here. I said, like, if you go back.
Okay, so this is interesting. I think there's something to this personally, and not specifically Greenland, but just this. Trump keeps talking about Greenland because he wants the rare earth minerals, just like this was for the oil. There's something to that, because when you talk about Ukraine, and it was just last week when Trump was with Zelensky and he touted about this mineral deal. Hey, we've got a good mineral deal with Ukraine. So there's just something there about the desire for wealth, which we know is his mode of operation. We've turned the White House into the palace in St. Petersburg with the gold and the gilded, and this huge ballroom that's growing and growing and growing. And it's a fact.
Who cares about a ballroom? I don't care about a ballroom. And that's like the least of our concerns compared
to.
But
it's the principle of how he leads. So I think he just wants.
He's like a bull in a china shop, of course.
But it's resources.
Yeah, we get it.
Okay.
Yeah, I get it. It's resources, but the ballroom's privately paid for. Who cares? So at any rate, I know we don't see eye to eye on that. You think that this is destroying some historical something, and he
it's my daggone White House. It's the people's house. Don't tear down the East Wing.
And if he was just turning it into a playground or just destroying it just to destroy it, I'd have a different position. Somebody here said, Prof, he should leave a lot alone. WTF, which I think translates into what the blank. Okay, I was saying that Trump should leave Greenland alone. He shouldn't be saber rattling. I mean, that's what I was saying. He should stop talking about Canada as the 51st state. If Canadians were like, oh, we want to join, then yeah, talk about it. That's fine. But trying to pressure them into something.
Let me give you this
one. Which, by the way, would be the worst thing for the Republican Party. The Republican Party would never win an election ever again, because you'd have a largely 2/3 addition of an extra third of the country that's 2/3 to the left. You would never win an election again. It would be like the worst possible thing you could do politically. So anyway.
All right, let's go here. Thomas Massie, AG, Attorney General, and others legally characterize attack in Venezuela as arrest with military support. Meanwhile, Trump announces he's taken over the country and will run it until he finds someone suitable to replace him. Added bonus, says American oil companies will get to exploit the oil. Elected official Thomas Massie.
Who is Thomas Massie?
Representative.
No, I understand he's a representative, but his background will tell you why he's saying what he's saying.
All right, well, explain it to us. That's why I threw it up there for you.
So he's
this is in your wheelhouse.
He is hardcore MAGA, and he is acting in line with what MAGA's position was about how we don't start these other wars. So
Thomas Massie is against
like
Trump now.
Marjorie, huh?
Thomas Massie's on the outs with Trump.
He was against him on Epstein, but that's
Right.
not against him on everything. He's about as MAGA-y as they come.
Wait a second. No, Trump has completely went away from Massie.
Yeah, because of the Epstein stuff.
Agreed.
But that's it. I mean, as far as what a MAGA policy position would have been, which we don't want to be engaged in all these other things around the world, that's where Massie is. He's still consistent with what MAGA thought that they were voting into office when they voted Trump in.
Trump called Massie a lowlife after he helped pass Epstein File Transparency Act.
That's right, because of the Epstein thing, just like Marjorie Taylor Greene, which you were just talking about.
And in 2026, Trump has backed Ed Gallering and supported him financially, running against Massie. Massie's criticisms go beyond just one vote, foreign policy disagreements. Massie repeatedly broken with Trump on military intervention, Iran.
That's right, because he's MAGA. He is consistent to what MAGA thought that they were getting when they voted Trump in, which was that we're not involved in foreign interventions. That's one of the core planks.
So are you saying that MAGA is disintegrating?
I'm saying that MAGA's policy position was that, and what MAGA will do in the future is going to be really interesting. Are they going to just go with Trump over the policy position, or will they be principled? Look, I'm a Republican. You know that. I am an old school Reagan Republican. I have stuck with the same principles that I've been with for decades now, which is why I support Ukraine. Right?
Yes, agreed.
This is different. So now, what you also said about Massie was that he was being primaried. This is why Republicans aren't standing up to Trump when they should be, because they're afraid that Trump is going to primary them and try to put somebody else in their positions. And what we know from James Buchanan, the Nobel Prize laureate, is that he proved this in public choice theory, that what politicians want more than anything else is to stay in power.
Massie represents a consistent strain of constitutional conservatism and non-interventionism that increasingly clashes with Trump's agenda, especially on war powers and party discipline. Yep. Trump, for his part, is actively working to unseat him in the primary, seeing Massie's high-profile dissent as a threat to loyalty and party unity, thereby saying he is MAGA, but he's out now.
As a threat to loyalty to Trump.
Okay.
So if Trump
to understand.
Trump can be this way or that way, and if you follow with Trump this way and that way, you're loyal and you're good. And if you hold on to the principle that you thought that you were holding on to, then you're bad. Like that's the long and short of it.
I think MAGA's disintegrating.
I think it'll be really interesting to see. Do they? I'll talk about the polls next week. So hit the bell and subscribe.
Please, if you're here on my channel, you haven't subscribed to Prof, please do. And listen, as you can see,
and vice versa, subscribe to Greg Terry's channel as well.
We can get into it and argue sometimes, and we still love each other because we just view some things differently. All I'm saying is you
just got to be consistent, or you can't say certain things or that sort of thing. But it'll be interesting to see the polls next week to see how MAGA reacts to what happened in Venezuela, because philosophically they should not have been doing that, right? Philosophically, correct. This is not something that MAGA thought that they were getting when they voted Trump in.
All right. I want to get to some comments here, and then I think we need to spend the last few minutes here. Maybe something else will break, I don't know, and discuss the thumbnail, the two changes
Well, maybe you ought to do that in a separate video at this point, and just redo the thumbnail for people to watch it. I mean, to watch this.
I think that's
this was all about
even
Venezuela.
better. I think that's even better.
Do that in a separate video.
We'll do that in a separate video. All right. Dunk on You 23. Welcome to the Hope Train. Let's have a great chat. Thank you, guys. Dunk on You also gifting 10 memberships, part of my mod team here. F Oink, another one of my mods, Hungarian legend, gifting 50 memberships. Thank you. Orestrak with the $4.99 super chat was commenting about Ukraine take over Russia now. Johnny Nedregard, Norwegian island dweller. Hello, Hope Train. Slavo Ukraini. Papa Dutch, $2 super chat. I wish the U.S. had grabbed Putin instead of Maduro. Yeah, agreed. Petra Olsen, Swedish non-smoking initiative with love to Ukraine. At Papa Dutch, $5 super chat. My impression is that Trump slept through history classes. That's very possible. F Oink, Hungarian forint, sorry. Rigged elections, pot calling, kettle, black. F Oink, Hungarian forint 2000 prof. Americans have no jurisdiction in Venezuela. There's no doubt to giving the benefit for. This is a breach of sovereignty, no matter how bad Maduro is. Thought?
I don't know what the reasoning was. It wasn't clearly spelled out.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say that it can't happen based on what, okay, so if let's say Maduro was funneling bad actors to do another 9/11, let's say that was going on. Is that enough reason? I think you have a right to defend yourself in certain situations, but I don't know that was happening. So I'm not going to say that was happening. I'm just saying, I'm trying to give you a more extreme example to say they do have a right to intervene if there is enough of a threat, but I don't know that there was enough of a threat. The case has not been made clear. That's what I'm trying to communicate.
I would like to interject two questions, and thank you, F-Oink, for this is why reading comments is so important. And thank you guys for chatting and your stickers and everything. So,
okay,
only 10%, according to right now, of the press conference was about drugs. We have said that we will run Venezuela until we can get it situated and straightened out. That means situated and straightened out to our perspective and how we think it should be. Just hear me out here. We're ready to sell oil to China and Russia. Colombia, better watch your A-double. Mexico, we've got to get involved there. Cuba, yeah, something's got to be done there. And the second part of my thought was, this was a powerful display of military, but there was no military action. We hit.
Well, there was some military action. There wasn't much. There was some bombing and Delta Force and that.
Hang on. We slung some missiles. We hit a few things, but it's nothing. We've got an armada off that coast. It was a show, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I think it was. Because I think that very much was
not even really a shot fired against us. So it's almost like this was the plan. Show force, take him out. Somehow, some agreement. I'm not going on a conspiracy theory. I'm just looking at the facts as they present themselves. So maybe there was some agreement there with powers in be with Venezuela. I don't know. Regardless, we went in and took their president, who's illegitimately elected. What would we do if a nation tried to go into our White House and grab Trump?
Right, I understand that. I understand. So the question is, what is the cause? And by the way, I'm not excusing Trump. You know me. You've been around me long enough. I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I'm saying we don't have the information to do this yet. So I see comments here that are saying things like, people have explained how Trump is dangerous, but you refuse to listen and just keep making excuses. No, you're misreading me. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is saying, with the facts that we know, I don't know that we have sufficient information to know that this was legitimate or not legitimate to do, because the argument has not been made to explain it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Trump's a good guy. I'm not backing Trump. I'm not MAGA. I'm a Republican, but I'm not MAGA. This is not my guy. I prefer somebody very different that would do different things. But so I need you to understand that that's not what's going on. I have another person, Teresa8173, saying, I subbed, I unsubbed, and I subbed again from Professor Curtis. He too often excuses Trump. People read me that way. People think that I'm trying to just excuse. I'm not. I'm trying to just deal with the facts. This is what you would expect a professor to do, right? Just
Clinical.
to not speculate and just say, well, he's whatever. Just like when we talked about the Greenland thing. Well, if he did this to Iran and to Venezuela and to Nigeria, why wouldn't he do it to Greenland? It's very different. So you have to just take each case as it is and try to deal only with facts and just with facts, not I'm not trying to excuse Trump. I wish that Trump would do very, very differently in the way that he handles Putin, but he hasn't. So my zigzag theory, I'm saying he doesn't seem to zig, or doesn't seem to zag. He only seems to zig. He can go either way on every other issue around Trump. He can go in either direction. He just proved that he can zigzag on something so fundamental to MAGA, that is, we're not going to get involved in starting other wars, and he zagged, right? So this is what I'm trying to explain. I'm just trying to think critically about this, but okay. At any rate, I'm not defending Trump as much as it sounds like I am. Think of it almost like a devil's advocate, trying to say, well, what's going on? I don't know that. And it's not devil's advocate. It's just trying to be fair with the facts.
And there's nothing wrong with that 100%. And many times I'm on the opposite side. I get a little too emotional and I'll miss a fact, and I want to be called on that because I always want to be truthful and present facts. That's why I just try to look at it and then I try to put myself. I think a fair way to look at it is my entire life has been spent traveling around the world, working in different nations, missionary work, humanitarian aid, all of that since 1994, my first destination, Moscow. And here we are in 2026, and I just have an international, I think, experiential view in my life where I try to put myself in the position of outsiders looking in to the United States.
Sure. And from the outside looking in, yeah, it's
tough.
It's not good. Yeah.
Christine McDonald, 49.99 pounds. Trump has aligned himself with Putin. Lindsey Graham is full of it. The Republican House and Senate should be putting pressure on their boss, Trump. Trump has not made the USA safe.
And why don't they do it? What just happened to Massey, he got primaried. This is why, because Trump is a bully. Now, I'm willing to say this. Trump is a bully.
Yes.
Trump will bully them into submitting to what he wants them to do, right? That's why the Republicans in the House and the Senate, mostly in the House, because it's every 2 years in the House, you have a little bit more leeway for a third, and a third, 2 years, 4 years, and 6 years in the Senate. So that's what's at play there.
May I ask a philosophical question?
Go ahead.
Does that put our politics just off kilter when,
of course,
those that are elected in congressional branch, and then you have the executive branch, you have the judicial branch, are scared of the executive and what he can do to them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Congress should be defending congressional prerogatives. Look at something as simple as tariffs. Look at something as simple as tariffs, right? Now, I think tariffs are going to go down because the Supreme Court is going to strike it down. And there's not a darn thing that Trump can do to the Supreme Court because they have lifetime appointments. Okay. So I think that'll be struck down, but Congress isn't protecting its prerogative. They should be taking that tariff power back, but they're not because they don't want to get primaried. And so the system's malfunctioning a little bit because Trump is kind of being a bully to his own party. So for those of you that think that I'm just giving the benefit, I'm just too soft on Trump, I'm not. I'm just trying to see fairly what's going on.
This is from the Scottish Tartan Terrier, money for Project 22, and we're going to go back to that. Please donate direct to Project 22's site. We'll give that to you again at the end. But Christine, I'll push that through for you. So thank you. But
that was supposed to be what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, it'll be on the next one. F. Oink, Hungarian Foreign 1000, is installing a puppet regime different from what Russia tried in Ukraine and failed? Question for you.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Is installing a puppet regime different from what Russia tried to do in Ukraine and failed?
Well, if they're installing a puppet regime. So the assumption is that you are doing that, and that's not necessarily what we see.
This is what we have to wait for.
You have to think critically about what's going on. You can't just assume that this is going to turn into a puppet regime. If it does, then we'll have a different answer. If it doesn't, then we have a different answer. That's all I'm trying to communicate. So if Gonzalez gets gets installed for real in short order, then you have a very different scenario than what the question was leading me to, which I'm not going to bite on that particular question. Does that make sense? I'm just trying to be fair. You have to use the facts. And
facts right now require a little bit of patience. We've evaluated.
So people are saying things like this here. The reason is a distraction from Epstein. That might be the case, but we don't know. We have to stay with the facts. I can't assume that that's what's going on or that's the case, although it's plausible. But I won't say that because
Okay,
go ahead.
So that's the clinical side of you. You want to be able to evaluate it and put in a chart, which is commendable. You are a professor. But for me, I just look at the news and I look at everything that I look at, and it is a distraction from the Epstein case. Whether it's meant to do that or not is irrelevant. It's accomplishing that task.
That's the cause is different.
Agreed.
And I can't go there. And,
Agreed.
And if I was doing my job, obviously you're not my students, but if I was doing my job, this would be professional, it would be malpractice for me as a professor to grab that and leap with it. Does that make sense? And
I've got to show this. I got to show this.
I do in my classroom.
And I completely agree with this comment. Once again, our Connecticut Air Force vet, Prof. Gertis, open-minded Republican. How refreshing. I applaud.
Well, it shouldn't be refreshing. Pretty much most of the Republicans that I know and associate with and hang out with are of my kind of ilk still, not the MAGA type that is coming with a woke kind of energy, trying to punch the other side in the eye, just like they feel like they've been. Most are old school Republicans like me. This is who I hang out with and associate, and we think differently than what the Trump administration thinks like.
I will tell you that from my personal life, all of my Republican friends as well, they're not MAGA nut jobs. They are crying about our country and they want to stand for what is right and justice. They love Ukraine, support it unbelievably in a massive way. So there's such a divergent, a difference in America of understanding the mess, honestly, that our country's in right now politically. And I think that's obvious. Mark Bisque, our Canadian friends from Canada, $27.99. We wanted to wish you both a happy new year and pass along our thanks for all you do for Ukraine. Thank you, Mark and Elena. And I look forward to getting on the live stream with you and Johnny. Papa Dutch, $2 super chat. Hexeth is just plain scary. For me, Papa Dutch, Hexeth is just incompetent. That's my belief on that.
Hegseth was a terrible pick, but he makes sense. So Hegseth, think about Trump's first term. Trump 1.0 is very different than Trump 2.0, right? First term, his Secretary of Defense was General Mad Dog Mattis, a Marine Corps general who was excellent for the position. But he also pushed back on Trump, what Trump wanted to do. Hegseth didn't have the same stature or cachet, so he's just doing what Trump wants him to do and rolling with it. It's very different because he wants loyalty rather than expertise. And that doesn't mean that Hegseth isn't growing in the job maybe or whatever. I mean, being kind to Hegseth, but Hegseth just isn't the same as Mad Dog Mattis.
Agreed. It's more of the show.
There was a very different reason for the pick.
It's a show, yes. F. Oink, member for 12 months, Trump regime lost legitimacy in foreign affairs. They use the restroom on international rule-based order. Be interesting to see what happens at the United Nations on this, especially since Russia's on the Security
it'll be
Council.
interesting to hear how the U.S. defends what they just did as in light of rules-based order, right?
Cypher gifting 5 gifted memberships. Thank you for that, Papa Dutch. Putin is wishing.
Hold on.
Yep.
Yeah. So if Maduro was elected in a rigged election and USA chose to remove him over that, the keywords here are over that. I have great hopes that SEAL 6 will be picking up Putin soon. Laugh out loud. Okay, but it's not over that. It's not because of the rigged election. This just happens to be that he's a bad guy too, on top of whatever else was going on that was irritating or violating whatever in the United States. And we don't know what that is yet. And so I can't tell you more because I just don't have the facts to be able to tell you more. If nothing else, even if you think that I'm like too kind to Trump, you know that I'm not going to misspeak by saying something that I don't know for sure to be true. Like that's the upside of this, right? So it's not because it's over the election. He's not doing this because he's defending democracy. He's not George W. Bush, right? I wish he was more like George W. Bush, but he's not George W. Bush. That's not his motive. It just happens to be happening simultaneously.
Let me tell you this. This is video I'm getting come in from Russia, actually. Let me put it into this. This is what we'll have to watch out for, guys. And we're just flowing along here. I want to get through all these super chats. This is what we're going to have to watch out for. And it kind of goes off that question there. It's right here. I'm going to take the volume off because they're screaming. Channel 50, 1 second. I'll bring it down to like that. Okay, so right now, this is what we're going to have to watch out for. This is pro-Maduro street rallies, but this basically looks like gangs, to be quite honest. They're all dressed in black, weapons, everything. This is what we're going to have to watch.
Cartels, he was supporting him.
Hold on, I don't hear you, Prof. 1 second. You muted.
Yeah, I'm muted. I'm not muted. I'm not muted.
No, you're not muted. Let me do this. Here.
En la calle en defensa del presidente Nicolas Maduro. Nos encontramos en el gran muro de Petare y vemos todos activados.
This, guys, is what we're going to have to watch out for. Let me go back to this. Prof, I got to get your audio. So why am I not hearing you? I didn't even hear that.
I don't know.
Say something for me, Prof.
Something for me, Prof.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? So I don't know if you could hear me, but what I was trying to say was that Maduro was chummy with the narco drug dealer types that were within Venezuela doing that bidding. So yeah, they stand to lose something in the process. So that's going to be problematic for him. Did that work? Did you hear? Okay, so this is just dead air. If you're not speaking and they can't hear me.
Keep talking for me.
I'm still talking. Sorry about that. We don't mean to lose this, but this is what happens when you're in a live. This is why I don't like live streams.
I don't hear you at all.
Rather. Okay.
Do people in the chat hear me? This is absolutely. I can hear the Prof great. Check my headphones. Yeah, keep talking, Prof. You do your thing there. Maybe my headphones broke. Well, I think Prof disconnected and is reconnecting.
I dipped out to see if that helped.
Thank you guys for being patient here. I want to get through these final comments.
Can you hear me?
There you go. So you've got audio on me. Greg is quieter.
Okay.
Hello.
Well, just wrap it up.
That is craziness because it's everything I can see is working perfectly. But thank you guys. Maybe it's because we went over. There you go, Prof. You hear?
Yeah, I dipped out and then came back in. So,
do you guys hear Prof? You are both perfect for me. Okay, thank
I'm
you.
here. This is the beauty of live streams.
Craziness.
Well, wrap it up. You're going to have to wrap it up now. I can't.
Give me one second, guys. I'm telling you right now.
Just wrap it up.
Sometimes this stuff starts to get aggravating here. Prof, you hear me?
I hear you fine.
Do you hear me? Okay. Can you keep talking a second?
Wrap it up. This is the best we're going to be able to do at this point. So, if you can hear me on my end, thanks for coming. And that's pretty much it as far as, because I can't hear Greg now. Wow. I can't hear you either. 1 second. You are all very patient in the if you're still here watching this. Technical difficulties.
Oh, here we go, baby. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. So
what did you do? You did that was user error on your side, I think.
Okay, so guys, let me tell you what this is. This is 100% Professor Gertis's fault. I need to get to the final chats, and I'm going to tell you why this is Professor Gertis's fault. 100%. And let me tell you something, guys. As we're closing out here, I want to get to these final chats.
Okay, somebody in my chat said they can hear Prof, but not Greg now.
They'll be able to hear me now. It's working. It's working.
Can you? Yeah, they're saying Greg is lost.
No, it's there. It'll come.
No,
guys,
my chat is saying that they can't hear you.
I know, but it's there.
I can hear you.
Greg, you are on mute. Yeah, yeah. Greg is back. We hear you both. Okay, guys, let me just tell you this. We may view things differently. We may all have our viewpoints, and that's the beauty of being a human being. But I can tell you one thing. We all love Ukraine, and we all, in our ways, are fighting for what is right. So
yeah.
I think you all, whether you're right, left, middle, atheist, Christian, whatever, we're doing our best to fight together. And I hope we learn from each other. Now,
and that's it. You learn when you have contrary positions and you're trying to get to whatever the truth is, and you're making your arguments back and forth.
Yes.
You don't learn by just reinforcing what you already believe. If it's if we're saying exactly the same thing and just totally agreeing, you're not learning as much as when you're actually kind of at odds with each other a bit over it, even if you're trying to go the same direction.
Correct. So thank you all. Thank you. And thank you for patience and being willing to listen. There's thousands of you here, and we're grateful. We're working and learning together. Now, with that said, it was 100% Professor Gertis's fault that I had an audio issue. And the reason for that is this. Prof told me, Greg, you need to stop typing so much. Get this software called Whisperflow.
Oh, you were using Whisperflow.
Get this software called Whisperflow. And we're not endorsed by anybody, guys, but it's a really nice software for you just hit a button and you can talk on your computer. It saves us a lot of time when we're making information to share with you. I hit the button by accident, so my audio has been all routed into Whisperflow. So anyway,
that's what I just used to send you this text that said "wrap it up."
Wrap it up.
I spoke it in Whisperflow, and again, we're not sponsored or anything.
We're not sponsored by Whisperflow, but they're great. At Papa Dutch, thank you for that. Leslie Bochelle, crew member, 21 months. Trump said he will attack again if necessary. Yes, he did. We're just catching up super chats. $2 super chat. That was Genuine Rubio. That's back when we were sharing Rubio's statement. C. Slivdek. I think it's Danish Krones. 900% agree. That was probably, we were talking about Greenland. $5 super chat, Papa Dutch. A lot of people love their country. This is when I was talking about loving our country, but I'm a blues man myself. Yes, you are. And Papa Dutch actually just sent me this CD for Christmas. And George Winston, one of my favorites. Thank you for that, Papa Dutch. Crusader63.com. We'll finish this out here. $6.99 Canadian. So is this what we Canadians need to prepare for? We will not be a pushover.
I don't think so. I don't think that's that at all. I don't think that's
adventurism.
That's not my read.
Looks like, smells like Russians. How far U.S. has fallen. Understand
that was Trump
the
trying to stiff arm the Canadians trying to get some kind of tariff deal. That's what my read is, but I could be wrong. But I don't think it's the same thing in character.
All right, let's bring this around a little bit. Let me get Papa Dutch here. Blues music has one rule. It tells the truth, no matter how bad it is. This is from C. Bass Smith, 7487. He's a member here on the Hope Train, 49 on Super Chat. And I know he's either headed to or in Ukraine. That work on Venezuela was beautiful. Another one of Putler's allies is out, thank goodness.
And that is
something
effect.
we need to look at.
That's a net effect. I mean, just like it's a positive effect for Venezuela, there's a negative effect for Russia.
Exactly. And so we take the positives off of that. Papa Dutch, $5 super chat question for you, Prof, regarding Trump. Is there a clinical term for someone who is consistently inconsistent?
I don't know. That's an excellent question. Whoever asked that,
Papa Dutch.
That is, he is. So that is why I was talking about my theory that he could zig or he could zag, because on everything else except for Putin, he has zigged or zagged, right? Mm-hmm. So that's exactly right. By the way, yeah, go ahead. Continue with what you were doing with your.
Karen Johnson, 5271, $2 super chat. What about the drugs? That's what we were talking about at that moment. Only 10% of the conference, press conference, according to ChatGPT, I just put it in there really quick, said what percentage of the transcript was on drugs. It said 10%. F-Oink, Hungarian 400, U.S. has no jurisdiction in Venezuela. That's true. Andrew Scully over there in Australia. Trump is such a hypocrite. Russia. Good morning to you there, or middle of the night, Andrew Scully. Andrew Ison, 9613, Canadian 5. Trump did not say Venezuela was going to sell oil. He said he will sell Venezuelan oil, and that is true. I can play the clip again.
That is correct. If I'm reading this correctly, what I'm hearing is that we're not paying for this invasion. We're letting Venezuelan oil pay for this whole operation. So think about what happened in the Gulf War. In the Gulf War, America spent hundreds of millions, if not billions, in order to secure Kuwait, right? And we paid for that. What the criticism was of Bush Senior after that was, hey, they're sitting on a large gas station. You could sell the oil to pay back so that American taxpayers aren't paying for that. This kind of thing is more in line with a MAGA position that American taxpayers should be paying for it. So that might be what's happening. I don't know. That's a possibility. By the way, there was a great comment here that I wanted to point out. They said, it's great to see someone who keeps an objective point of view. I'm not objective. Greg's not objective. You're not objective. That's the point. We all come to it subjectively, but some of us are honest about our subjective positions and try to be fair. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be fair.
Okay, guys, if you stick around, let me get through these super chats. First of all, thank you. But President Zelensky just made a statement about this. I will translate it for you. Wait 1 second. YOLO Swaggins becoming a new crew member. Thank you for that. Karen Johnson, 5271, $2. Trump is Putin's tool. Time will tell, but the behavior we've seen so far, we've seen a lot to justify that statement, but it's not over yet. We have to evaluate. All I will say is stick by what I've said.
It doesn't seem
what I said. There was a gentleman's agreement in Anchorage where I believe Trump told Putin, I will get Zelensky to give you land. You get this ended, and we're going to go on down the road. That's my personal opinion.
I can't say that Trump is Putin's tool. I can say something a little less dramatic than that, and that is that at least Trump thinks that his interests are aligned with Putin's, and so therefore he is doing what Putin wants to be done. Do you understand the nuance there, the difference between saying he's just Putin's pawn and there are two different things, but at the end of the day, it's working out the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm trying to. Everything I'm trying to do is provide context and try to be fair as with the read of what it is within my subjective understanding of what's going on.
Guys, I'll give you a little insight. We've become very good friends, and Prof will call me and he'll say, "Hey man, you need to be a little bit more clinical. You kind of went hard there." And then I'll call him. I say, "You need to be a little bit more emotional. You're too clinical." Yeah. We balance each other, and hopefully
we balance very nicely.
You gain from that.
I'm often talking him off the ledge of like, you got to go walk around the block and let your heart rate go down, and your
he
blood
tells
pressure.
me to take my blood pressure pills for my Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll tell you the exact truth, guys. At Papa Dutch, question: who is General Raising Cane? Do we know him? Anything about him?
Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Okay, thank you for that. F. Oink, Hungarian foreign. Prof, Greenland, Canada, Panama, Venezuela all have a common denominator. Trump has financial interest there.
And that could be, but we don't know that that's necessarily what is driving this. We just don't know to be able to say it.
We have to wait.
Just like Trump being a Putin tool, we don't know in order to say it, but his interests are certainly aligned with Putin's. His interests are certainly aligned with these three countries. So, okay.
Andrew Wisen, 9613 Canadian 5, Trump will fabricate whatever he needs for a reason to attack other countries. Well, once again, we have to wait and see. Like, let's just wait and see. Let's see what happens with the government. Let's see what happens with the oil. But you've been watching for 2 hours now, and you know our opinions, how we stand on this. Papa Dutch, $5. The U.S. already expressed an undiplomatic interest in Greenland by covertly building Camp Century under the ice there. Not only that, when it comes to Greenland, Donald Trump himself, and I can't pull the quote right now, but I'm summarizing, basically stated that we need access to Greenland because of the Arctic and because Russia and China are already having big presence there.
And there is an Arctic race right now.
There's an Arctic race.
No doubt.
Okay.
One of my viewers said, Prof, the only thing that drives Trump is money, WTF. So why am I not agreeing with it? Again, the nuance. I will concur with much of the thought, but not the full thought. Much of what drives Trump is money. No doubt everybody agrees, but I can't say that the only thing is that. And so therefore I have to agree with whatever's being done. Clearly he's motivated by money, right? No doubt about that. But you can't say that that's the only thing. That's how I try to process these things.
Fair enough.
You're on.
No, yeah. I know I'm on, and I say fair enough. I would only play devil's advocate with that statement by
power, image,
quoting by quoting
all kinds
Donald,
of other things, legacy,
by quoting Donald Trump himself, and that is let's get doing business with Russia so we can both be rich. We can be rich.
That is the way that he's oriented. But I think he cares about
that's why
his
people say
legacy.
He's money driven, because he says it. Let's get rich.
Yes, but is that the only thing? You can't make the leap that is the only thing that motivates him. There could be other factors that are there. That's all I'm saying.
Power.
I'm saying we're probably 90% agreed with what he's saying, but I can't say that. And neither should anybody else. Like,
let me ask you this:
more critically than this. I don't mean to lecture, right? But if my students were saying this, I would say something like, "No, how can you prove that that's the case? You don't know all decisions he's made that's the only thing. You have to be a little bit more humble about your assessment in order to see what is there. Otherwise, you become a slave to your own perception.
I think you're accurate, meaning we need to clinically prove it. But I think that there are.
He's probably right that money's driving. I think
there are.
I would agree.
There are enough examples with the Trump family that have generated incredible wealth in the first 11 months of the 12 months of this presidency. It's proven by facts, whether we talk about the cryptocurrency, the meme coins, the real estate deals being made in Asia, the deals being made in the Middle East.
I'm trying to help. I'm trying to defend you in the way that you're reasoning through things, not just you, whoever's making those kinds of statements. I'm trying to help you see things and think through things properly. It's not defending Trump. It's trying to make those clear points so that you're actually seeing reality as opposed to being emotionally driven and frustrated. I get the frustration. If you think you're frustrated and you're on the left side of the spectrum, imagine how frustrated I am when this is supposed to be my party's leader.
I get you. I don't disagree with you. Just for me, we don't live in the 50s or the 80s anymore. This is 2026.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And everything is laid wide open. And it's just
we're in a postmodern time right now. Yeah, absolutely. We're in a postmodern time where woke is doing something awful on the left to the right, and MAGA is doing something awful on the right to the left, and it's going to get worse unless we get back to civility. And we're not moving back towards civility. And these kinds of inflammatory statements are not helping us with civility. It's not helping. So that's my plight.
Fair enough. At Papa Dutch, $10. If a group is pulled together from the most wacko and unstable sectors of all corners of a nation's society, the probability of it devolving into utter chaos is directly proportional to its membership. Papa Dutch, I will put that statement into ChatGPT and ask for interpretation, but I do understand. I also see Papa Dutch just super chatting $2. He said, next live stream, I'm going to pack a lunch. Yes, we are doing a 2-hour-long live stream here.
Yeah, I got to eat too.
We do. Let me finish out here. Papa Dutch, Trump thinks he's peeing gold plating. Andrew Scully, Australian 299. Russia has Sergio Gore in the White House.
No, he's no longer in the White House.
But he's no longer there. That's correct.
He was in the White House, and that was problematic, and he was vetting HR. He's now an ambassador somewhere, I believe.
F-Oink, Hungarian Florence. Keep in mind, chat is limited. Hard to convey proper statements. Easily miss when you are talking and putting hundreds of words out. That is true. So we thank you for that. And I want to say thank you to all of our moderators. But listen, this is where we're at. I told you guys, if you waited around, I would tell you what Zelensky says. It's only 20 seconds. I'm going to play it, and then I'll give you the translation.
Про Венесуелу? Ну, як тут відреагувати? Ну, що я можу сказати?
What can I possibly say?
Якщо можна, да,
it is
так, з
possible
диктаторами, ось так, то Сполучені Штати
to deal
Америки
with a
знають, що
dictator
їм
just like
робити
that.
далі.
The United States knows what to do next. So there, guys, you've been waiting for it. We bring it right back around to Zelensky. He says, oh, you know what? There's another big story here, and we're not going longer, everybody. But this is coming in from...
While you're trying to think about
I got it. This is from Russian billionaire oligarch Oleg Deripaska. Because earlier today, when I knew we were switching gears, I started pulling in as much of this information from Venezuela as I could. And guys, we promise we will come back and do the new government for Ukraine for you. But he said, if our American quote unquote partners get to the oil fields of Venezuela, and they already have the oil fields of Guyana, they will control more than half of the world's oil reserves. And apparently their plan is to ensure that the price of our oil does not rise above $50 per barrel. This means that it will be difficult for our sacred state to leave everything as it is, not to reduce cost, not to get rid of unprofitable assets, to continue to engage in grandiose projects without having the necessary competencies and without the participation of private business in order to develop competition. This could mean that it will be a taxing year on Russia.
Yeah, that's a net positive that comes on the other side of this. By the way, somebody put in my comments, name the actions that by Trump that are not for money. Okay, I get it. But let's say, how about this? Does he do things for power? Because I think he does a lot of things for power, just like he does things for money or whatever. So there could be other things. And I'd say you probably got the lion's share of them with money and power as two big things. So I'm trying to be as clear as possible rather than just say things. Okay. Anyway. All right.
Let me
Greg,
just
we probably ought to wrap it up.
We're going to wrap it up, but let's just 3 minutes because we both need to go eat. Listen, we heard Donald Trump earlier say U.S. will be open to the Maduro's VP and if asking for help and all of that will be possibly be able to work with Maduro's VP, who has now been sworn in. But Emmanuel Macron, right here, the Venezuelan people today, rid of dictatorship Nicolas Maduro, can rejoice at this by seizing power and trampling on freedoms. Maduro dealt a grave blow to the dignity of his own people. The transition to come must be peaceful, democratic, and respectful of the will of the Venezuelan people. Right here. We hope, France, that President Edmundo González Urrutia, elected in 2024, will be able to ensure this transition. So now we have a little different view here, potentially. We have to just be watching it. That's all.
And if that's what happens, this is a best case scenario because you would have gotten rid of a dictator that should not have been there, who was not really in power. He's just liberated Venezuela, although, again, the means, I don't know that this should have happened this way, but that is what would be the best case scenario.
Okay. One more, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but
you keep lying to us.
You'll have the whole story here, and I don't have time to do it all pretty and blow it up for you. This is the new mayor of New York City, Mamdani. I was briefed this morning on the U.S. military capture of Venezuelan President Maduro and his wife, as well as their planned imprisonment in federal custody here in New York City. Unilaterally attacking a sovereign nation is an act of war and a violation of federal and international law. This blatant pursuit of regime change doesn't just affect those abroad. It directly impacts New Yorkers, including tens of thousands of Venezuelans who call this city home. My focus is their safety and the safety of every New Yorker. My administration will continue to monitor the situation and issue relevant guidance. There you have it, a little bit of Mamdani from New York.
Okay, that's the last one. You promised us.
I'm done. That's it, guys.
You've proven yourself a liar.
Papa Dutch said $10 super chat. Oh my God. Oh my God. OMG, Zelensky nailed it. Yes, he did. Papa Dutch, $2 money is an instrument, power is control. And Jeff coming in here late, CV4QN, 3 quid. With the big thumbs up. And for that, guys, we say thank you. One last time, we remind you that we are pushing our Project Constantine, and we meant for this stream to go a completely different way.
That's what it was supposed to be for.
But let's finish this out for Project Constantine. We're up to 264,000 pounds of the 320,000 pound goal. And, so much unfolding. We'll keep you posted. Prof, thank you. Thank you to all the moderators. Thank you, guys. Every viewer. We appreciate each and every one of you. And have a great, great day. Bye-bye. How do I stop my stream? I'm so out of whack.
It's one of those days, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Hold on. We're still streaming. There, guys, you get your B-roll mistake. Have